on your talk show,
Yes,
you had Charlton Heston.
I did.
And I think you told him you had a crush on him.
No, I asked him about a very particular story. In The Omega Man, which he's in with Anthony Zerbe and Rosalind Cash, they have a kiss. Rosalind has a kiss with him. And I said, how hard was that? Because they apparently got a lot of grief. They were asked to take it out of the film. I mean, people really gave them a hard time because it was an interracial kiss. Neither one of them, as you may know, went up in flames. But I guess that's what people were afraid of. But he said it was one of the hardest experiences he'd ever had because he wasn't anticipating the reaction people gave to him. I said, so it was really weird? And he said, it was really weird. I said, how weird was it, really? How did you feel? And he started to lean in, and I thought, what is he doing? Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. He kissed me. And I thought, now that was weird. That was weird. I'm not going to lie. But I had the same wonderful experience with Charles Schultz because the first tattoo I ever got was of Woodstock. And he was this big when I got him.
Yeah.
Now he's still but I said to him, I said to Charles, I said, you know, I have Woodstock. He said, I heard. So I showed it to him. And he said, would you like me to sign that for you? I'm like, no, I don't want you to do that. I didn't know what to do. I know he was being funny, but I was like, you're Charles Schultz. What are you doing? I mean, yeah, really strange and wonderful experiences with really amazing people that I really admired as a kid and always thought I'd be friendly with or could be friends with, you know. And some of them, it turned out I got to be friends with them, and which I love.
Well, you've always been a fan, too. I mean, you grew up watching movies. You grew up here. You grew up watching the 4:30 movie and the $1 million movie like us.
And the early show? Do you remember?
Sure.
Oh, my God.
We talk about it all the time.
That would have the drawing of the buildings,
right.
And the lights would go on one by one.
Yes.
And Tara's theme on the $1 Million movie.
Yes. My God.
But when you started getting...
Wait. You remember Zachary?
Oh,
of course, he just passed.
he died
I
recently.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Rest in peace, Zachary.
Yes. Or he may be back. You never know.
Let's hope.
You never know.
But I found it interesting, too, in my research. You would go to these events and bring your autograph book. You weren't shy about it. Hey, I'm meeting Jimmy Stewart, and I'm meeting Burt Lancaster.
Well, because
and I'm gonna
for me...
soak this up.
Listen, I'm from the projects. I didn't look like anybody who should be in the position I was in. I heard it enough from people. It's like, how did you get to be here? And that's what people would say to me, and I'd say, well, Mike Nichols, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. But people would say stuff to me that was kind of like, how is it that it's you? Why you? And I kind of felt a little uncomfortable with it. And then I just thought, it doesn't matter. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to tell them that I love them. I'm going to tell them that they were meaningful because I've been a kid I'm not a big sleeper and wasn't a sleeper when I was a kid. So I got to watch all these old movies because my mother would be like, look, don't move from this room. So I would watch movie after movie after movie and have a great time. So the idea of coming down the stairs the way that Jean Harlow came down, nobody told me I couldn't. Nobody said that's not for you. So my mother never said, oh, no. She just said, if you want to do it, you got to go get it. You got to go earn it. And so it never occurred to me I couldn't until I got famous and people started saying, you can't do that. Don't you know you're black? I was like, yeah, I've been black the whole time. I've always known. It only seems to be surprising to you.
And now, would you say you owe your career to Mike Nichols?
A great part of it, yeah, absolutely. To Mike Nichols and to Steven Spielberg and to the guys and women I worked with in Berkeley, California, and to the people I worked with in San Diego, California. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I owe my career to lots of different people because I got a lot of help from folks. People who said, hey, let's play like this, or let's do this, or you're good at this. Come on and come play with us. So, yeah, listen, this was one of the luckiest stumbles a person could have. Someone offered me a career on a silver platter, and I took it because I didn't know if it would ever come around again. And as it turns out, thank God, I'm not bad. Not bad. Yeah.
So Spook was the show that you did that came to New York. The Spook Show came to New York, and then it went through some changes, and that's where Mike Nichols saw you. And, and it went through a name change.
Yeah.
But it was essentially that show before being retooled.
Yeah. And I wrote that show so that I could get parts.
Right.
And
very smart.
That's what it was from. That was all it was. It was me making stuff up to get work. Plain and simple.
And Mike Nichols saw something, and he said that there's a
he
Broadway show here.
Well, he came when I got an invitation to come and do the show at DTW, at Dance Theater Workshop downtown, and they were doing monologue shows. So I was part of a series, and the first 3 days it was like one guy wandered in, looked around, didn't see anybody left. So I just waited for people to come. So the first couple of days, I was like, this is not going to work for me. Very, very sad. And then Barbara Barry came.
Barbara Barry?
Yes.
Wow. From Barney Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And One Potato, Two Potato. Another a great movie. And the next night, Bette Midler came. And people started just sort of wandering in. And there'd be 8 people or 6 people some nights, and 9 people the other night, and then 12, like a whole dozen. And the night of the whole dozen, there was a man in the audience called Mel Gussow, who used to write for the New York Times. Yeah. And he wrote a review that if I had been living with him, it could not have been any better. You know what I mean? I mean, it was unbelievable. And I had no idea he was there. I didn't know who he was. And my mother said, can I show you something? And I was like, sure. She said, you've been reviewed in the New York Times. I said, oh, is that good or bad? She said, I think you might want to read this. And what he wrote was so great that afternoon, we sold out the whole run. And people started coming. And then my mother came in, and because my mom was great, because DTW is on 17th Street. I grew up on 26 and 10. So my mom, she would come to every show, and she'd say, now, I don't want you to be uncomfortable, but Mike Nichols is in the audience tonight. I said, okay. All right. You sure? She said, yes. I saw him. I said, don't tell me where he is. She said, but I will tell you he's white. This was her way of making me laugh. So I go out, I do my show, and it's great, and I go back, and he was doing Hurly Burly at the time. He was doing Hurly Burly and The Real Thing simultaneously. And what else was happening on Broadway? Dustin Hoffman was doing Death of a Salesman. So all of this is happening in '84 on Broadway. But he's doing amazing stuff, and he did Virginia Woolf, and he did The Gret, and I wanted to be in a Mike Nichols movie. I just like, whatever you're doing, if you're here, I want to be in a movie. So the door knocks, and this man comes in, and he's weeping. And my mother said, that's him. I said, hi. He said, I just want you to know, Ms. Goldberg, that I was on the last boat out of Nazi Germany. Yes, and when you did the Anne Frank piece, it moved me. So I wonder, would you ever want to do this on Broadway? And I was like, sure. Yeah, sure. So he said, I'll be in touch. And I thought, okay, see you, Mike. So I finished the run, and I go back to Berkeley, where I'm living, and my phone rings. And I pick it up, and I hear, Ms. Goldberg. And I said, who is this? He said, this is Mr. Nichols. I was like, hey, what's up? He said, you remember we had a discussion about coming to New York? I said, yeah. He said, well, do you want to finish the discussion? I'd like to find a theater for you. I thought you were bullshitting. I haven't given this any more thought. I thought you were kidding. He said, no, I'm not. And so he said, if you leave it to me, I will find us a theater. And he said, now, are you going to be comfortable? I said, I don't know, man. I don't know. Broadway. He said, what's the problem? I said, well, sometimes I suck. And he said, well, you can suck every other week if you want. It's not going to change the fact that this should be on Broadway. And I'm going to present it. Can I help you with it? I said, whatever you want to do, man, whatever you want to do. And so when I got here and started rehearsing, he would sit in the middle of this theater in the dark, like you see in the movies, and you'd suddenly hear, and so I'd be working my soul out, just acting my ass off, and he'd be like, Ms. Goldberg. I'm like, yes, Mr. Nichols? He said, was there an end to that story? Or are you just talking on? And I was like, well, I think there might have been an end to the story. He said, well, if you listen to what you're doing, you would have heard the end, because you passed it. And he was right. Because I wasn't listening. I was just doing it because I just thought if I could just get it done, it'll be okay. And he just said, no, you have to slow down. You have to listen to what you want me to listen. You have to listen to what you're doing. And so for me, it was the first time somebody said, oh, I want to hear what you're saying. So you need to draw me in. And it was wonderful because he was right, and it's what I wanted. And he made me so much better.
And what did you learn working with Spielberg?
I learned everything about movies. And what I learned more than anything was that in this lens, there are folks who are mute. So even though I can't hear them, they are there and they're watching. And so I'm performing for them. So that was a great thing. And he and I are film freaks. So he would direct me this way because I'm one of those people that I can understand the essence of something if you can give me something to hang it on. So he would say, do you remember that scene when Boo Radley is revealed the first time behind the door when Scout says, hey, Boo? And she moves, and there's Robert Duvall.
Your favorite movie.
Oh, I love this movie. I said, yeah, I know that. He said, that's the feel I want. I want to feel when Scout first sees him, that love that she has for him, that is when she says, hey, Boo, that's what I want to feel. So I was like, okay, I can do that. And that's how he directed me. And that's how most people have directed me because I understand that.
It's great that you have that language, that common language, that you know all these scenes from movies.
We had such a good time on that show.
That was a lot of fun.
Great time on that show.
Great show.
Yeah, it was a great show.
You know what I remember? And this was what gets me. When I was a kid, I would watch Hollywood, the original Hollywood Squares, and I would laugh and enjoy it. But I always thought, this is when someone's at the bottom rung in show business. That I'll never be. And then God was listening and put me on. And I had the greatest time.
Yeah, because it was just about having fun. We just wanted to have a good time. And, you know, I was, in a funny way, I just was tired of making the movies because I just felt like I couldn't find my footing anymore. So I thought, well, maybe I can do this, you know. So I did Hollywood Squares, and I just thought, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is what it's supposed to be when you go to work. You're supposed to have a good time. We worked on the weekends. So we were all in L.A. shooting, actually, when 9/11 happened. We had just finished the show, and people were getting ready to scatter back. But I just remember that it was like family. We ate well, we laughed well, and I don't think I've had as much fun since.
And I remember, too, it's like when I watch reruns of where everybody's laughing and kidding each other, and I thought, you know, all of that's real.
Yeah.
We were really doing that. Yeah. We were really having a fun time.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
Thank you, baby.
Oh, that's sweet.
We were.
So we got about 15 minutes left. You want to take some questions from these nice people?
Sure.
Mr. Gottfried? Questions for Shenzi and Iago?
There's a man.
Cliff Nesteroff, author of this terrific book.
Sure. Moms, for me, the two women that I adored, Toady Fields and Moms Mabley, as a kid growing up. And Toady looked like no one else. She was like a little round lady, but funny.
Yeah.
Like funny, hold your stomach funny. And then she got ill and lost a leg.
Yeah.
And this woman got up on the stage and was still like drop dead funny till the last second. And Moms was the same way, but different. You know, she would say something that, you know, she told a story on Mike Douglas once where she had been down south and she was in Texas and she had been very happy to be there because people treated her really well. And she said, yeah, everywhere I went, people were greeting me. They just everywhere I went. She said, hi, Trigger. Hi, Trigger. At least that's what I think they said. You know? And she had this ability to tell these stories that you thought were not true. But as it turns out, she actually did travel with the Kennedys.
Oh, yeah.
She did a lot of the things that she talked about. And her in Sing Sing is one of the funniest.
She used to do that every year?
Every
year. Play for the prisoners?
She only missed 1 year because she was really sick. But she would just talk about stuff that people weren't talking about, you know. And for me, my favorite thing of her was the simplest joke, which I was not allowed to tell up until about 1995. I wasn't allowed to do it on the comedy show that George Slaughter used to do. And the joke is this. I'll do it as her voice. Two old ladies walking down the street. One turned to the other one and said, I smell hair burning. The other one said, maybe we're walking too fast.
It's in the documentary. Yeah.
Wasn't allowed to tell that joke.
No.
Now,
risque, apparently.
Yeah.
Here's a memory I have of, you know, Moms Mabley, it seemed like she'd be on Merv Griffin every other night.
Yeah.
And I remember this from when I was a kid, and I can't find it anywhere. I can't find anywhere. I remember her singing, going, well, he couldn't read and he couldn't write, but he was nobody's fool.
Yes.
That's why he could never be the shamus of the shul.
I will find that for you.
Okay.
I will find that for you.
You know what he's referring to.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
We should plug the doc. It's fantastic. It's on HBO on demand.
Yeah,
and it's just terrific. If you guys haven't seen it and anybody remembers Moms Mabley,